Live from the news leader in Northern California, NewsCenter 4 Midday. Here's the very latest.
It's Judgment Day in Washington, and Microsoft stock is already taking a beating. Hello, I'm Emerald Ye.
And I'm John Kessler. Our top story this midday, a federal judge will issue his verdict this afternoon in the antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft, and the company's stock already taking a hit. Microsoft shares have lost almost 14% of their value this morning, and that's pushing the NASDAQ lower. Let's check the market right now. The NASDAQ is down 235 points. The Dow is, though, to 222, up 222. Investors are bracing for an expected ruling against Microsoft after the markets close this afternoon. And we'll check in live with CNBC in just a moment with more on the market's reaction. Well, Microsoft seems ready to take its chances in appeals court after settlement talks broke down over this past weekend. It's already been a long road in this legal fight. The Justice Department filed its complaint against Microsoft, the software giant, in 1998. Last November, the judge in the case ruled Microsoft holds a monopoly in computer operating system software and uses its power to stifle competition. Today, the judge is ready to issue his verdict in the case, and Microsoft is prepared to fight back.
4 months of negotiation between the two sides failed to come up with a way to settle the lawsuit and end the long court battle. After one last try, a federal judge in Chicago overseeing the talks declared them fruitless. Judge Richard Posner said it would be in the national interest that the case be settled because it involves a key industry in the global economy. But he said the differences between the two sides are too deep-seated to be bridged. So now a federal judge will rule on the question now before him, whether Microsoft broke federal antitrust law in the design and marketing of its popular Windows software. It's almost certain the judge will be tough on the company because last fall he issued blistering factual findings, saying the software giant used monopoly power to stifle competition. Some antitrust experts wonder why, when Microsoft can expect a harsh ruling from the judge, it's still declined to settle.
The irony, I think, of the collapse of the settlement is that the outcome that would be more likely to come out of the full litigation of the case is probably the one that the parties cast aside in the past couple of days.
But Microsoft executives believe they'll do much better when the case goes to a federal appeals court.
Now we'll have to win the case through the legal system. We have a strong legal case and believe the judicial system will ultimately rule in our favor.
Federal Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson's ruling is expected to spell out Microsoft's violations of the law. He would then design a punishment that could range from breaking up the company to restricting the way it does business.
CNBC's Michelle Caruso Cabrera joins us live from CNBC's headquarters. And Michelle, where does Microsoft stock stand right now?
Right now, it is down about 14 points, trading about $91 a share. That is a very big hit. That's probably the biggest one-day loss in market capitalization for Microsoft in its history. It's really had a very rough day. And consider that it had climbed last week in anticipation that perhaps the two parties were going to hammer something out over the weekend. So a lot of investors had gotten their hopes up last week. But today, certainly, they are selling on this news that we are going to get some ruling this afternoon. And as was mentioned earlier, it is widely expected that this is going to be negative for Microsoft, that the ruling will be negative. And some folks fear the worst. The death penalty, so to speak, for Microsoft would be that judge would decide perhaps that the company should be broken up into two different companies. And we are seeing selling based on that worst case scenario.
Microsoft, though, Michelle, Microsoft has already stated it plans to appeal whatever ruling comes out today. Does this strike some as an overreaction on the market's part?
Well, some analysts have come out this morning and said we still see Microsoft as a strong buy. Yes, this is something that is going to hang over the stock for some time, but they consider there are a lot of strengths. It really depends on who you talk to as whether or not they consider it an overreaction. Some things to keep in mind, some antitrust cases have gone on so long that by the time they were decided, they didn't really matter anymore. So some have argued that, yes, it is an overreaction, but try to tell that to the people who own it right now. It's pretty harsh.
Which does lead to the question, how will the expected appeal impact the stock, because it will be played out for years?
Well, and that all depends on the day-to-day gyrations that happen in court and what's said on one day. Much as we see in tobacco litigation, every single incident or event that happens in court, what's said by a plaintiff, what a judge says one day will move a stock up or down. In tobacco, we can see that occur with Microsoft as well. Each step along the way can be analyzed from here to the end of the earth to determine what it means, and certainly we can see a lot more volatility ahead for the stock.
Michelle, is there anyone in the high-tech industry that is benefiting from what Microsoft is going through right now?
Oh, absolutely. There are competitors to Microsoft that will climb on the news. Red Hat, for example, anybody who's involved in Linux, which is a competing software, which is a competing operating system, which many have tried to get started. Microsoft has been so dominant, they've had a really tough time. So they are pleased, and they would be pleased to see Microsoft perhaps split up or to see a negative ruling from Microsoft.
Okay. CNBC's Michelle Caruso Cabrera, thank you very much for joining us. Well, the new economy is the focus of President Clinton's visit to the Bay Area this midday. Mr. Clinton is now addressing a Democratic Leadership Forum at San Jose's Tech Museum of Innovation, and we're going to listen in live to him right now.
And we're crazy if we don't get about the business of preserving the global environment as well as dealing with our local environmental challenges. I think we ought to prove that we can lead the world toward greater shared peace and security, and that we can build one America at home and be an example abroad for people to let go of their ethnic, their religious, their racial, their tribal, and other hatreds. That's what I think this election ought to be about, because that's what I think the future ought to be about. You know, in my lifetime, we've never had this kind of opportunity. But the point I want to make about all of this for today is that we will not be able to have an election about that or a future that's about that unless we can keep the economy growing.
Listening in on President Clinton talking about meeting the challenges of the new economy as he addresses a Democratic Leadership Forum at San Jose's Tech Museum of Innovation. He had arrived at Moffett Field Airfield last night. After meeting briefly with reporters, he went straight to a private fundraiser at Stanford, and now he's asking members of the Democratic Leadership Council and the high-tech community for support in his views.
Pinol's only emergency room closes today at Doctors Medical Center in Contra Costa County. People are wondering what kind of impact that will have on Pinol's healthcare system. NewsCenter 4's Mark Jones is there and has this live report. Hi, Mark.
Hi, John. It had an emergency room. In 23 minutes, it will have an urgency room, and that's part of a nationwide trend. In 10 years, 1,000 ER rooms have been shut down nationwide. Observers say they've been overwhelmed by people who have no health insurance, so they show up here and other emergency rooms for things like rashes, neck or back pain, sprains, coughs, runny noses, earaches, sore throats, and toothaches. The industry says the emergency rooms are really meant for people having a heart attack, convulsions, broken bones, severe bleeding, or real life-threatening problems. Those people will now be directed to a sister campus in San Pablo at 2000 Vale Road. That is 4.5 miles away from where I'm standing. This will be an urgent care facility, not open 24 hours a day, but from noon to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, and from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the weekends. The emergency room in San Pablo will continue to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, John, the impact yet to be felt. We'll keep close tabs on the situation. That's the story here.
I take it then that urgent care center will handle the earaches and the sniffles and such.
That's the idea.
Yeah, all right, good deal. Mark Jones reporting live from Pinole. Thank you very much.
An underground fire has closed a busy intersection near Union Square. The fire started this morning in a PG&E electrical vault to send smoke and flames through several manholes at O'Farrell and Mason Streets. No one was hurt, and there have been just a few sporadic power outages, but the main problem will be traffic, and that's expected to be slow in the area for the rest of the day.
As we continue on this midday, Japan's Prime Minister is reportedly on his deathbed. We'll have the latest on his condition.
With a deadline looming, the father of Cuban refugee Elian Gonzalez may finally come to the U.S.
East Bay refineries could soon be subjected to surprise safety inspections.
And after a beautiful weekend, we've got a beautiful Monday, but you can see in this shot that fog will be changing the scene as the week goes on. A cooling trend in the offing for the Bay Area. We'll have the entire forecast as midday continues.
You're watching NewsCenter 4 Midday with John Kessler and Emerald Ye. NewsCenter 4, 24-hour news, every day, every hour.
NBC Mondays now begin with Dateline. Sybil Shepherd, from cover girl to TV star. Now she reveals her struggles and the truth about Bruce Willis, the Jane Pauley interview. Then it's on to 21, the game with no limits. See what happens when people's lives are changed.
Whoa.
Finally, Monday's #1 drama.
We got live explosions inside.
One of the most intense episodes of Third Watch.
You're not gonna leave me, are you?
Third Watch after 21 in an all-new Dateline, NBC tonight.
Garden Claw, one of America's favorite garden tools, is good as gold. It adjusts to fit gardeners of all sizes. Garden Claw Gold helps you cultivate, loosen, aerate, and weed without being tough on your back. The claw's steel tines tear through all kinds of soil, even clay, bringing moisture and oxygen to plants' roots. And it turns weeds and leaves into beneficial mulch. Garden Claw Gold makes a great gift.
Available at Long's, Yardbirds, Home Base, and Friedman Brothers makes a great gift.
California once ranked 6th in public school spending. For our children, endless opportunity in a golden land. But today, California has fallen to 40th in per pupil spending, which means we have the fewest teachers and not enough clean, safe classrooms to meet each child's needs. We need to invest more to make our schools the best again. To learn how you can help our schools, call the California Teachers Association now.
I only have one dad. He's a great guy, an active guy. But as a result of his diabetes, he developed a wound that just wouldn't heal. He said he could live with it, but I couldn't.
The Wound Care Center can help. We use advanced techniques and therapies you just can't find anywhere else.
You should have seen his face when he walked in the door.
Call the Wound Care Center at 1-800-991-HEAL.
Hey, look where we are. It's Western Career College. We're inside a real dental assisting program in a real dental assisting chair with a real dental assisting student. It's Monica. Say hi.
Hi.
And tell them why Western Career College is so wonderful.
Because it teaches you responsibility and dedication.
You liking it?
I love it.
You like the teachers?
I like the teachers.
Now, do you have any kids?
I have a daughter.
Okay, so when you're on your way out the door, headed to Western Career College, what does she say?
She encourages me and she's my motivation.
Oh, it's tremendous. So when you graduate, and you will graduate, what do you want to do?
Dental assisting.
So it's working for you.
It is.
They should call.
They should call now.
Yeah, of course you have to call now. And San Leandro, if you want it to work for you, you have to dial 800-584-4553. They have programs in medical assisting, dental assisting, medical billing, veterinary technology, pharmacy technology, occupational therapy assisting, and of course, medical secretary. Western Career College.
You can do it! You can do it!
You're watching Emerald Ye and John Kessler on NewsCenter 4 Midday.
Japanese Prime Minister Keizo Obuchi is alive only because of life support systems. That's according to a report on Japanese television. The 62-year-old Obuchi slipped into a coma after suffering a stroke yesterday. Chief Cabinet Secretary Mikio Aoki has been named acting Prime Minister, while party officials search for a permanent replacement. It is shaping up to be a crucial week in the custody case over Elian Gonzalez. Attorneys on both sides are meeting at this hour, still unresolved whether Elian's great uncle in Miami will sign an agreement to turn over Elian if the U.S. relatives lose their court battle. The government has threatened to revoke Elian's permission to remain in this country tomorrow if the country does not comply. The family's attorney says they will turn the boy over if INS agents come to get him.
This is not a family that is going to defy a court order. This is not a family that's ever going to intrude with any sort of law enforcement process.
The U.S. has received visa applications from a large group of Cubans, including Elian's father, to visit the U.S. during the court case. They may leave Cuba as early as tomorrow. Meanwhile, an ABC News poll finds most Americans, about 60%, believe that Elian belongs back in Cuba with his father.
Back here in the Bay Area, some other stories we're following. Oil refineries and chemical plants in Contra Costa County may soon be subject to surprise inspections. The county's hazardous materials chief says it's part of an ongoing effort to make the plants safer. The Board of Supervisors tomorrow will review a plan to hire 2 inspectors. Art Howe's Oakland A's open the Major League Baseball season at home tonight. The A's did win yesterday's exhibition game against the Diamondbacks. Tonight's game against the Detroit Tigers starts at 7:05. The Giants open their season this afternoon in Florida against the Marlins.
Coming up on Midday, work-at-home scams. Our guest from the Better Business Bureau will have some warnings and advice for you.
And a wonderful weekend weather-wise. Will it continue, though? Well, Brian has our forecast coming up next.
If you have tax questions, credit issues, or need legal help, don't miss the Contact 4 Consumer Fair.
You'll get advice from the experts, and the best part of all, it's free.
The Contact 4 Consumer Fair, Wednesday from 5 to 7 at the Bayfair Mall in San Leandro. What's it like to experience a magical story unfolding right before your eyes? You have to see to believe. The all-new fireworks spectacular in the skies over Disneyland.
Miracle-Gro asked me to raise a whole new kind of plant. New Miracle-Gro Select. The only rule? Nothing but the best. So we don't jam them into little pots. We let them breathe. We use Miracle-Gro plant food so they can grow stronger roots. We let them stay in the greenhouse longer and get more of the things they need. And then we select only the largest and strongest plants. It's simple. Start with the best, end up with the best. New Miracle-Gro Select plants. Big, beautiful plants, guaranteed.
If you haven't had this good a look at whole grains in a while, maybe it's because you haven't been eating your Roman meal, one of our all-natural varieties, or our original, the pioneer of whole grain breads, around for almost 90 years. Maybe you'll come around. It would be good if you did.
Got better things to do than wait up for the late news? You have a choice in primetime. Watch the 9 o'clock news on Bay TV. News, weather, sports, from the big stories spanning the Bay Area to the ones right outside your door. A full hour of local news. The 9 o'clock news. It's at a better time for you. Tonight on Bay TV, your TV, cable channel 35.
The John Benet Ramsey movie, the 18 minutes that were cut from the original version. Plus, E.T. reveals which blonde Oscar winner made the cover of Vanity Fair, and Hollywood's most powerful 100 list is out. Next, E.T.
Join us tonight at 7:30 on Channel 4.
When you look for a dentist in the phone book, you may get some information about the dentist. The information the dentist wants you to have. But what about the information you want? The questions you want to ask, huh? Who's going to give you that? Well, you're not going to get it in a phone book. But when you call 1-800-DENTIST, you'll speak to a live person who can answer your questions. Don't waste your time staring blankly at a yellow page. Let your fingers do the dialing. Call 1-800-DENTIST today.
Now, Brian Hackney with the Bay Area's online weather.
It's a beautiful Monday for the Bay Area today as we look from Transamerica. And if you want to look for cooling, look west, young man, or whoever you happen to be, because that's where it's coming from, not only in this perspective, but also Sutro lost in the clouds floating in over the city. Of course, all of it coming in from the marine layer that we get a good vantage point from Mount Tam, high above Marin County. We've had that low cloud layer built in after about midnight last night, very extensive, extends most of the way down the Big Sur coastline. As a result, the numbers are cool along the shore. San Francisco is only at 56 degrees right now, and yet on the other hand, in Fairfield, it's already up to 75. So typical spring-like weather for the Bay Area, and for that matter, summer-like and fall-like. With the usual low clouds along the shoreline and sunshine inland, we'll look for a 20 to 30 degree temperature spread in the highs today between the shore and inland. And look at that. And you see that fog all the way around the Oregon border and then finally begins to lift away around Vandenberg. Close view here shows the fog just beginning to come through the Golden Gate Bridge as it has been doing most of the day today, and it's also filling in the Monterey Bay Area this morning. So look for the sea breeze to be picking up this afternoon. On the time lapse here, the high pressure is still in full command of the West Coast, and as a result, such energy as there is out in the Pacific is heading up into the Puget Sound and parts of the Queen Charlotte's and Vancouver Island. But for California and much of Washington and Oregon, we simply look for a sunny, if somewhat cooler day. It'll still continue rather warm inland with numbers nudging 80 degrees. Nasty weather breaking out across parts of the southeast today where they expect thunderstorms in Atlanta, the same for the nation's capital, and maybe some light snow for Minneapolis. Meanwhile, down in the Southland, Los Angeles tops out at 77 degrees. That's about where we are, mid-70s to upper 70s for the North Bay today, even as San Francisco comes in only in the low 60s, if that. Over in the East Bay, 70s and 80s will do it. 80 degrees at Concord, 80 for Walnut Creek, and 81 at Livermore. Down in the South Bay, San Jose started out clear. It has stayed that way. Right now it's 71. It'll get up to 76, 75 for Mountain View, and 59 chilly degrees by the shoreline at Pacifica. Right around the bay, the numbers will be mostly in the 70s. In the extended forecast, the cooling trend that begins today lasts right through the end of the week. Hope you have a pleasant afternoon. I'm spending mine earning money at home, but maybe I won't earn much. I'm going to watch this next segment. Here's John and Em.
There is a trade-off. You see the signs on the street. These days, they're even emailed to you, tempting propositions to work from home.
Yeah, the offers let you set your own schedule. You can earn a 5-figure monthly income. Too good to be true? Joining us to talk about these work-from-home deals, Pat Wallace from the Better Business Bureau. Hi, Pat.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
In your experience, has anybody ever made enough money to support themselves on work at home?
Well, based on our experience after many years of attempts, we have challenged many of these advertisements that you can make $500 or $1,000 or more working at home. We have not ever found one single case where that could be substantiated. So the answer to that is really no.
So you can make, in some cases, maybe some amount of money, but it just won't pay. And it certainly doesn't live up to what you're told you're going to make.
No, actually, there is the possibility to make a few dollars. But generally speaking, the way these programs are set up, it's almost impossible, because even if you do get through the initial steps of either of some of this work, for example, putting together jewelry or crafts or that sort of thing, the company who promises to pay you for this finished product will send it back to you, and they'll tell you that it won't meet their standards. So even if you could get through and make the stuff, which is almost impossible, when you get done, you end up with nothing.
Show us, you brought some examples of what you're talking about.
I brought some show and tell. These are examples of some jewelry that companies are offering to pay you for, to the extent of somewhere up to $700 or $800 each week. And you have to make 25 sets of these. The fact is that a professional jewelry maker did test this program, found out it took 4 hours to make a pair of these of these earrings. So obviously 4 hours times 25 sets, because that's how many you have to make, take you somewhere near 100 hours to make one set of 25 to make $250. These particular earrings were sent to the company, and they were returned as not meeting that company's standards.
Now, in a lot of cases, do you lose more than time? Are you having to send money up front to get the kit to make these things? Is that where the money-losing aspect is?
That's exactly where it is. The companies charge an upfront fee, and it could be anywhere from $36 to $68 to $70, $80, or $100. Right now, the hot item is medical billing, and medical billing involves you buying some software to put on your computer to bill patients for doctors. The software costs anywhere from $350 to $700. Complaints we get indicate that none of the software works on the computers that people are trying to make it work on. And even if it did, attempting to go to a doctor's office and ask that doctor for his private privileged records to bill is ridiculous. I mean, there is no market for it, so it's #1 scam. And of course, some of the stuff that's been around for years is still out there. For example, stuffing envelopes. I have a brochure that was just handed out in Berkeley offering $3 to stuff an envelope. Now, can you imagine anybody paying anybody $3 to stuff an envelope, especially when companies are out there that do this work for 3 and 4 cents an envelope?
So you have to think it through what makes sense, and then things just don't add up in a lot of these cases. Okay, the Better Business Bureau, Pat Wallace, thank you for joining us and showing us some specific examples of some of these work-at-home schemes. Now, the Better Business Bureau can be reached at 510-238-1000 or 415-243-9999, or you can reach them at the website at www.bbb-goldengate.org. And Pat Wallace, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Next Monday on Midday, last-minute tax tips. If you're among the millions of procrastinators out there and you have last-minute filing questions, ask Contact 4 at 415-561-8999. Our expert will answer your questions Monday on Midday.
And we'll be right back after this.
These 14-year-old girls have a dangerous obsession
If God put it there, then why not you?
with sex.
You had sex in a church?
Sex-addicted teens on the next Mark. Join me at 1, only on Channel 4.
America, get ready for some real slots.
I just got one thing to say. Crack kills, and it's killing me.
They should be in the disgusting Hall of Fame.
It looks like a giant hairball.
Have you ever been with a woman?
No. Next, Jenny Jones.
Today at 2 on KRON Channel 4.
A digital multi-network phone for under $50 after rebate. It's at Cellular One, but hurry.
At Albertsons, we know the importance of making every dollar count. That's why we're having our fabulous Dollar Day sale starting March 29th through April 4th. You'll find all kinds of your favorite items at special Dollar Days prices. Savings in addition to our everyday low prices. No card needed. Just look at the bottom of your receipt to see how much you've saved. Albertsons Dollar Days. It's another great reason to make us your store. Albertsons. Great service and low prices together like never before.
When I had to read out loud, I didn't know lots of the words. Like, I had trouble with island, so I had to sound it out. Is land. And I know I sounded dumb.
At Sylvan Learning Center, we guarantee your child's reading skills will improve 1 full grade level in only 5 months.
Now, I know all the words and I can just read it straight through, no problem.
If your child needs help with reading, call Sylvan at 1-800-EDUCATE. Success is learned.
What makes the fiber in Citracel fiber therapy so special? Compare. All these fiber therapies, including Metamucil, contain psyllium, which can ferment in your system to initially produce excess gas. Only Citracel's fiber can't ferment, so it won't produce excess gas. And only Citracel's fiber is 100% soluble. Citracel is the smart fiber for regularity. For effective relief, choose Citracel. 100% soluble, no excess gas. Citracel.
You are my first surprise, my first adventure, my first teacher, my first friend.
Before they learn from anyone, they learn from you. California Children and Families Commission. For more information, call 1-800-KIDS-025.
Coming up today in First 4 News, examining the options for women at high risk for breast cancer. Health Beat team Dr. Kim Mulvihill looks at a study that offers a radical technique for preventing the disease. Also at 4, do-it-yourself landscaping. Sunset Steve Lorton helps us put together a simple, lasting garden display. Those stories and more in First 4 News at 4 o'clock.
And that is Midday for today. Our 24-hour news updates continue in 1 hour. I'm John Kessler.
And I'm Emerald Ye for Brian. Thanks for watching and join us again for First 4 News at 4. Bye.
All the stuff's in all.
Test drive a new Camry at your Northern California Toyota dealer.